Very good afternoon to everyone from India, from Malaysia, from all over the world. And first of all, thank you very much, Professor Alvin, for inviting me in this in this presentation. For it to be as much interactive as question answer, and we'll start right away. Managing procrastination using REBT technique. So I am assuming that there are a lot of therapists here. There are also non-therapists. So I have tried to use a language which is not jargon. So please excuse me if you do not find REBT words, specific REBT words here, because they have been transformed into a layman's language. So first of all, let's quickly take an overview of the agenda today. We're going to understand what is procrastination, what is not procrastination. We'll also see what are the different styles of procrastination. Each style needs to be dealt with differently. We're going to deal with each style differently. We're going to learn a variety of techniques, how to deal with procrastination using the REBT techniques. And what is the connection between motivation and procrastination? So when you don't feel motivated, how to stop procrastinating at that time. A little bit about me. I am a psychologist, a life skills trainer. I've been trained at the Albert Ellis Institute, Beck Institute, and the Harvard University, Boston. This is all about me. I think quite a few people know more about Professor Alvin here, and I'm his friend. So then this is a better introduction. What is procrastination? What is procrastination? I think everyone procrastinates. Procrastination is putting off any task to a later time that you know, that you recognize that needs to be done right away. So when we postpone a task and we are convinced that that needs to be done right away, then it is procrastination. However, there is another thing which is not procrastination. What is not procrastination? There's something called a strategic delay, where you know that delaying the task would be helpful. And that is not procrastination. For example, let's say that you want to sell stocks or shares, and you know that the rates are pretty low. And if you sell the shares maybe 7 days later, it would be more profitable. So you postpone selling the shares or stocks for 7 days. Now, that is not procrastination because you are convinced at the point of postponing that doing it later would be helpful. In procrastination, we know and we are convinced that doing it now would be helpful. However, we still postpone doing the task. That is procrastination. Let us understand different styles of procrastination. I say procrastination is an art, and some people are really, really skilled at this art. Some people are expert procrastinators. And do you know any expert procrastinator who definitely would procrastinate if you ask them to do something? I would like to hear from you in the chats. I may be able to, yes, I think I'll be able to see the chats very easily. Okay, so do you know any expert procrastinators? If yes, then definitely yes. Type yes. Different styles of procrastination. I want you to identify your own style of procrastination. I'm going to narrate a few styles of procrastination. The number one style of procrastination is what we call as perfectionist procrastination. In perfectionist style of procrastination, people who procrastinate, they go to extreme lengths to deliver a good product, and therefore they keep delaying finishing the product or their service or whatever task they are going to do. They think that my outcome, my task, my work has to be absolutely perfect, or else I'm not going to do it, right? So they engage in what we call as black and white thinking, that either work is perfect or it's completely useless. Many times it is important to finish the task and not necessarily make it perfect. And if we look at perfection, there is nothing that is perfect. From a very, very close distance, even Taj Mahal is imperfect. If you go and look at Taj Mahal very closely, but on a micro level, let's say atoms and molecules, everything is still perfect. So aim for excellence, do not aim for perfection. If something needs to be done on a priority, just do it and aim for excellence. I'm not saying that it's okay to deliver substandard product or services. But however, perfection is something that may be very, very elusive, and you might be delaying doing a task because of perfectionism. Another style is low impact procrastination. This is extremely common. Now look at your mobile phones. Just take a look at your mobile phones, and how many of you have your mobile screen guard broken or cracked, but the mobile phone is still running? For instance, it's still going on. Here, can you identify this style of procrastination in you? Is not much difference is made even if you complete the task, and even if you don't finish the task, there is no much impact. We call this as low impact procrastination. So work is going on, your mobile is still working, functioning, and the screen guard is cracked and broken, but the work goes on. There are other examples of low impact procrastination. For instance, working on your weight, say for instance, taking your medication regularly or paying the bills. They are low impact. You may not have a lot of fine to pay if you don't, if you do not do exercise or do not eat on time. There is no immediate or huge impact of the procrastination. And therefore, people keep postponing because there is low impact. The problem with this procrastination is that many things could be linked with each other that are low impact. So say, for instance, I did not finish my food on time. And then because I didn't finish my food on time, there was low impact. But then I cannot take medication because I did not have my food. So there is another low impact. Now, each is linked to another thing. And then the ultimate outcome of this could be high impact. Some people who have loads of tasks that are low impact, they keep postponing. They have a generalized anxiety. They keep having a low grade anxiety all the time because so many tasks have been postponed. So I usually give an example of low impact procrastination. How to deal with low impact procrastination is, imagine yourself with a book on your head. You can also do this with your students if you're using REBT in children in schools and adolescents in schools. So put a book on your head or the student's head. This represents one task that has been postponed. So now add up another book on this that represents another low impact task that you have postponed, and keep adding books and ask the person to handle the pile of books. Initially, it's very easy to handle one book on your head, but then as the pile grows, it becomes not only heavier, your head hurts, but it's a lot of weight on your shoulders and head, but it becomes difficult to balance as well. So low impact procrastination needs to be dealt with immediately. If anything needs to be done, do not say that whether how much difference it's going to make. What is important, it needs to be done, because it may not make an impact immediately. However, there might be a cumulative impact of it that is huge. Another style of procrastination is a very interesting style. We call this as a roller coaster procrastination. As you know, roller coaster goes up and down, up and down, up and down. People who have this style of procrastination, their productivity or their agility goes up when there is a deadline, and it goes down as the deadline passes. You may have seen this in students who are appearing for an exam, let's say a week later, and then they start studying just before the exam. They stay up all night. They work for like 16 hours a day, and then they don't sleep on time. They don't eat on time. And then as the exam goes away, their productivity goes down. They do not study at all until the next year when the exams are up again. So do you see a roller coaster up and down in their agility or in their motivation to do things? This is a common style of procrastination. Why do we do this? There was an experiment done in rats. Now, the rats were made to run on a treadmill, and there was a piece of cheese that was put on the end of the treadmill. Now, the rats would run and they would think that, okay, I just need to jump once and the cheese is mine. So they would run fast to get the cheese, but they would never jump and get the cheese. And many times it happened that the rats slowed down thinking that now things are in control, so let me slow down. And the moment they slowed down, they went back away from the cheese, and that made them very anxious. Oh my God, the cheese is getting out of my hand, and then they would run faster. So do you see the rats, increasing their speed, decreasing their speed? When things are in control, they slow down, and then things get out of control. You see a roller coaster procrastination not only in studies, but many behaviors such as losing weight. So let us imagine that you planned to lose 10 kilograms of your weight, and you worked very hard at the gym. You did all the nutritional changes that are required. However, the moment you lose 3 kilograms of your weight, you get a sense of control that, wow, things are in control. I know how to lose my weight. You start getting compliments from people. Your Instagram posts suddenly get more likes and more compliments, like you're looking great. This dress looks good on you. So you get what we call as premature sense of satisfaction, that you get satisfied easily with whatever you have received, and then your productivity goes down. So this is also true with addictions, like, someone wants to quit smoking, or someone wants to, quit alcohol. They may be very motivated, their energy goes up, they are really on it to stop smoking and alcohol. And when things are in control, they allow themselves to smoke again and drink again. And then they hit the rock bottom where everything is out of control. Their health is gone. They may have a heart attack, or their family or their finances start getting affected. So they hit a rock bottom, and then they suddenly start going up with their effort. So this is roller coaster procrastination. The concept that you need to remember here is premature sense of satisfaction. So do not stop unless your goal is achieved. And if your goal is too big, then you may break the goal into different smaller goals. But that goal has to be the goal. Like, I want to achieve this goal, and then stop. Stopping does not mean that it's a failure to stop. I think resting is very, very important, but doing things in spurts is also helpful. But roller coaster is where your productivity goes up and down, and then you get a sense of satisfaction, and you stop way early than you should have. This is an interesting style of procrastination. I love this style because I see this extremely commonly in millennials. So are there any millennials here? Any hands, show of hands? Okay. Thank you for attacking me. Did I attack anyone here? Okay, I must have identified somebody's style of procrastination. Low impact. All right. Okay. So are there any millennials? Okay, we have 3 raised hands. So I'm not saying all millennials have it, and I do not have a study to support that only millennials have it and nobody else has it. Narcissistic style of procrastination, where you believe that you are, the task that has been assigned to you, or the work you are supposed to do, is not up to the mark. It is not intellectually challenging enough, or it's not good enough for you to do. So these people think that they should only be given very smart work. They should have to do only smart work or passive income, or probably anything that has to do with their own quality. And they shouldn't have to do donkey work or anything that involves hassles, specifically something that can be done by someone who is junior to you. So imagine that you have to submit a thesis to Professor Alvin, or a dissertation to Professor Alvin. And, it involves a lot of work, which is downloading stuff, cross-checking, typing out. And it's like, I am not made for this. I am made for brilliant ideas that will transform into $1 billion in a month. I shouldn't have to do this work. And that is narcissistic procrastination, because donkey work is a part of smart work. If you want to be successful, you need to be ready to be able to do donkey work. I have good examples of this, allergies to donkey work. This is not my work. This is not my work. And people lose jobs because of this, because they were assigned a goal that this is what you need to achieve. And they assume that this is not my task. However, it was a goal. They think that this was not my task because it is not up to the mark. So how to get over this style of procrastination? Just remember your goal. This is my goal. Tell yourself over and over again that donkey work is a part of smart work. And there is nothing like, you are superior because you're doing good work and you're inferior because you're doing donkey work. Everyone who has been successful today, so be it Mark Zuckerberg or, Elon Musk or anyone, they have done a lot of donkey work and you don't even know their story. So they have done it and therefore they are where they are. If Mark, let's say that, 20 years back, he said that, I'm only going to do some smart work and I'm not going to put an effort into this task, then probably he wouldn't be so rich today, right? However, delegating work is different, which is you've already reached a stage where it is okay for you to delegate work, pay other people to do the work, but the readiness to do any kind of work is what is required. And this is how you can handle the narcissistic style of procrastination. All right, so we have another very interesting style of procrastination, which is hindrance procrastination. You can see here, the police has barricades or the barriers, and this stops people from crossing the street. And in a similar way, people who engage in hindrance style of procrastination, they deliberately stop other people from growing. Imagine that you're going, not you, let's say that imagine someone else is going through a bad divorce and one of the partners does not want the divorce because they know that if they give the divorce or the divorce, then the other partner will quickly marry another person and they would be happy. So this partner does not want to see the other person happy and they deliberately avoid processing the divorce papers. So this is hindrance procrastination. You may have seen this in offices where, let us imagine that you do not like someone and their mail, somebody else has sent you a mail that you had to forward to the person you don't like. Now, if you forward the mail, they would be benefited, the person you don't like. Are you likely to quickly forward the mail? You hate them secretly. And are you going to forward the mail or you're probably going to delay forwarding it? This is hindrance procrastination, where you engage in passive aggression towards the person you are angry with or you're upset with. And this hinders the other person's progress. You may be a victim of hindrance procrastination, but if you are engaging in hindrance procrastination, remember that regardless whether anger expressed or suppressed or expressed in passive aggressive ways, anger is unhealthy, and unhealthy anger can actually harm you. It can disrupt your mental peace. So a lot of people engage in hindrance procrastination because they love to see the other person suffering. So they get a kick in their head, a dopamine surge when they see the other person suffering, or probably they take a revenge. So this is hindrance procrastination. Just be aware of your own procrastination style. And you may want to break the style because in the long run, it's not helpful to you. There is one more style of procrastination, what we call as promissory note procrastination. We have a slide later. I'm going to talk about that, where you promise yourself that I am going to do this from tomorrow onwards. Now, this is promissory note. The moment you say, I'm going to do this tomorrow, let's say, how many of you had decided to join the gym on 1st of January and you just didn't? So first, you promised yourself that you're going to join the gym on 1st of January. And the whole December, you ate a lot of food that was unhealthy. You engaged in unhealthy exercising habits. For instance, you just didn't exercise. That allowed you. So the promise actually allows you to do things that are pleasurable or less distressing. Now, the promise that you make to yourself is unhelpful, but it serves a purpose to get you rid of the guilt. Have you ever seen people who wear helmets? I mean, like if you come to India, you will see this a lot. I do not know about Malaysia. if you see this, they wear a helmet, they are driving a two-wheeler, and they are not wearing the clip of the helmet. Now, the helmet is useless technically, because if you meet with an accident, the helmet would come off your head and then your head might get injured. But the helmet protects them from the traffic cops or the police. Because if you're wearing a helmet, you will not be fined. If you don't wear a helmet, you'll be fined. So a promise in a promissory note procrastination serves the same purpose. It saves you from the guilt that you are not doing whatever you are supposed to, but it serves no further purpose. It does not make you do things. Now, why does this happen? Because when you promise yourself, you do not have a plan of action that how am I going to do it tomorrow? Say, for instance, you say that you're going to go to the gym tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning, and you are relieved of the guilt. So you start doing, you binge watch Netflix or whatever. So you do a substitute activity. But the next morning at 10 o'clock, you suddenly remember that, oh my God, I had a presentation with the Sunway University in Malaysia. And I said, oh my God, so I can't be doing that. I can't be going to the gym now because, I have another presentation. So I postpone it to tomorrow. And tomorrow I realize that I have a commitment with my family. So, you keep postponing, and the excuses become real because you did not have a plan of action. How are you going to do it tomorrow? So the way to break this cycle is to first have a very concrete plan of action. I'm going to come back to the plan of action in the slide when we have it. But this is what we call as promissory note procrastination. There's one more style that I have not put a slide to it. This is what we call as a lateness procrastination. And in lateness procrastination, the person once was benefited because they were late. Say, for instance, you have to attend a meeting, and then the meeting is at 12 o'clock, but you reach there at 12:30. When you reach finally at 12:30, you realize that nobody's there. So people have just started coming in, and the meeting starts at 12:45. So you had to wait for 15 minutes only. And you tell yourself, oh my God, like glad that I came in late, because otherwise I would have had to wait for a long time. Then, I was late, but I still finished three things. I dropped my child to the school, I finished the laundry, and I bought some groceries as well. So amazing, not only I could finish three tasks, but I didn't have to wait for a long time. So the person remembers this, that being late is good, being late is helpful, and then they continue to generalize it to every single incident. And they're just not able to get out of this trap because they keep convincing themselves that getting late is good. Remember that once it may have been good, and many times you also get away with things. For instance, how many times you have procrastinated and nothing wrong happened? Nothing happened. So this way, it is important for you to understand that getting away without a penalty also reinforces your behavior. The problem with getting away and reinforcement of this behavior is that you get habituated to postponing every single task that is at your hand. So you're building a neural pathway in your brain that urges you, or that makes it more likely that you will postpone the task, any task that comes to your hand. But if you build a new neural pathway where whenever there is a task, you simply quickly do it, you're more likely to not postpone the tasks, any task for that matter, in future. So this is what we call as lateness procrastination. So I'm going to discuss a few techniques on how to manage procrastination, different styles of procrastination. In the meantime, I'll quickly take a question. Do you have any questions so far? Lateness procrastination is reported by bank officials in my bank when I go for some work. Okay, right. I'm a good procrastinator. All right. Professor Alvin is still doing donkey work. See, he keeps working in the background, and that's why he's so efficient, right? Okay, now let's start doing quickly start managing procrastination. let us first understand the cycle of procrastination. Now, could anyone quickly, let me check time as well. Okay, we have time. Now, can anyone quickly, anyone who is an expert procrastinator, quickly get ready for a demo? I'm just going to identify the cycle of procrastination, what happens in procrastination. Can someone tell me one incident when they procrastinated? Anyone raise hands, and Professor Alvin will allow you to speak.
Yes, any one of you would like to say anything, you may just unmute your mic, say hello, and then you may introduce yourself and share. All right, Rama Devi here is example state reading a book.
Okay, so would you like
is
to?
Is it okay if I go?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yes,
carry on.
absolutely.
Okay.
Is it Rama?
No, Nishtha.
Nishtha. Okay, Nishtha Bhuthiraja. All right, Nishtha, can you quickly tell me when was the last time you postponed doing something which you knew that this should have been done immediately?
Okay, so early in 2019, I had paid for a certification course which did not have any deadline, and it wasn't expensive. I've only completed module 1, and I had paid for 2 courses, one after the other. So one was a very basic course, introductory course, and the second one was a little advanced, and everything was online even back then. So the entire module is online and it's not very expensive. I just cannot seem to find the time to be able to do it, even when I'm taking a few days off to just relax and everything. It's something that just I tend to forget that, oh, I have to do this and I've already paid for it. And it also is something that is not going to affect my career and my development. I did it out of interest.
Amazing. Pause. You give valuable information here. The first statement you said is that I am not able to find time, right? I want you to underline the word I am not able to, right? Now, a lot of people who procrastinate have this script, which is I'm not able to do it, right? Now, let's quickly check whether this is able to or not able to. I want you to give me true or false, right? I am not able to fly. True or false?
True.
Right. I am not able to play guitar. True or false?
Semi-true.
No, it is false, because I am able to, but I do not know how to. I do not have the knowledge,
Okay.
skills, and experience to do it.
Fair enough.
But I'm able to. Right.
Right.
I am able to climb 10 stairs.
True.
Do I have the ability?
True. Yeah.
I am able to understand Chinese.
False.
No, I am able to, but I do not know
I'm able to, but I do not have the knowledge. Right. True.
I am unable to get pregnant, no matter how hard I try. True or false?
I'm not so sure what the answer is, because I do have fertility issues.
So, okay.
I do have fertility issues.
I am not
So
able
I don't know
to
how
get
to answer
pregnant.
that.
No, I lack the ability to get pregnant, right? Is that correct?
I do have fertility issues, but I've never tried. So I don't know the answer.
No, for me. I'm not talking about you. I'm saying me. I
Yeah.
actually lack the ability to get pregnant.
Yeah. So you are unable to.
I am unable to, right? So now I am unable to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. True or false?
Completely false.
Completely false. I am able to, but I choose not to. So the first thing we need to do is to change the script from I am unable to I choose not to. Now this gives us empowerment. Like, it is our active choice to procrastinate, right? The second thing you said is that, I did it out of my interest and it has zero impact on my career. Did you identify the style of procrastination? Anyone? Chat box. What is the style of procrastination?
I think narcissistic.
Okay, it could be. To us, it appears to be low impact.
Okay.
Right. And now, if you say it is narcissistic, it could be really true that it could be narcissistic procrastination. There was no deadline. So again, not having a deadline makes it more likely that you will procrastinate. So let's get back to one choice point. I'm only going to explain how we procrastinate, the cycle of procrastination. I'm not going to break this cycle because this is not a session of procrastination. I'm going to explain the steps in procrastination. What do we do? When was the last time you had a choice to do it, but you did not do it?
I think if I don't go very far, this morning, I had some free time.
Okay, and it is free time. What went through your head that pushed you away from doing the task?
So it's the weekend, and I tend to work a lot on the weekends. And the morning I had off, I thought I'll sleep, and that's what I did. I switched off all of my alarms and I slept.
Before all this, now you gave me 5 steps. What happened in a jiffy? Let's get back to the choice point. Did you have an urge to do it or to postpone it in the morning?
It didn't occur to me. It's something that never occurs to me.
So let's say that you do get a reminder, you get a visual reminder that this course you have signed up, and then you have a memory that I have to do this course. The first thing that usually comes to our head is an urge to postpone it. The first thing that happens is an urge. So I would say that the first step is urge to postpone.
Okay.
The first step. And there are predisposing factors like lack of sleep, having a holiday, the type of task is mundane or boring, or you are already unwell, the weather is too good, the weather is too bad, the internet connection is slow. So there are predisposing factors that make it more likely that you will postpone. But the steps that actually start in your head it starts with an urge to postpone. The urge is immediately followed by a decision to postpone. So the second step in procrastination is a decision to postpone it. The moment you take a decision to postpone, you probably have anxiety or guilt because then you did not do what you're supposed to do. And it's immediately followed by a justification to postpone. I'm not doing it because. What was the justification you gave to yourself? I am not doing it now because.
It's not, it doesn't have any impact on my career. Correct. It was just out of interest.
Right. So this is the justification you give to yourself. Remember, the justifications are true and verifiable. The justifications are true and verifiable. The brain has already decided not to do it, and it supports it with evidence that matches with the decision. And they are unquestionable. For instance, it can be done tomorrow. It is true. I do not have the necessary resources to do it right now. True. I am not in the mood now. True. So all these justifications that we give to ourselves are true and must not be questioned for the veracity. However, we'll question them for their utility, but that's a later part. So the third step is a justification to delay. And then the fourth step is actual delay. And the fifth step becomes a substitute activity. The substitute, Professor Alvin, please give me a time up 10 minutes before we have to end. So yeah. So the last thing is a substitute activity. The substitute activities could be of a variety. And the substitute activities is typically less distressing. For instance, just relaxing and doing nothing and not doing the mundane or the distressing task. The substitute activity could be an entertaining task, which is more fun than the other task. For instance, checking your mobile phone or, binge watching Netflix. So the substitute activity could also be what we call a pseudo work. It looks like the actual work, but it is not work. So let's say that you have to research something on the internet, and then you simply download stuff, but you do not research it, right? So it looks like the original work. It rids you of the guilt again, but it is not actual work. So some people have pseudo works like, they wash their laundry when they should be applying for the passport. So they convince themselves that I've done something good. So that's pseudo work. So this is a 5-step, I would say, cycle of procrastination. Every single person who goes through procrastination has similar things: an urge to procrastinate, a decision to procrastinate, then a justification to procrastinate, actual procrastination, and a substitute activity. Where do you think we can break this cycle? Urge, decision, justification, actual procrastination, or substitute activity? When do we break this cycle?
Are you asking me or
Yes, I'm
everyone
asking
else?
you.
I
Yeah, you, because
think
you're on mic.
ev- at every stage we can.
Okay, we can. And which would be easier? Once you have already started, let's say that you postponed the task, you're watching season 3, episode 4, you have a tub of, popcorn, you're already half drunk. Would it be easier there? You've already engaged in substitute activity there, or would it be easier in the proximal part?
It would be easier in the proximal part if
Excellent, excellent. Thank
depending
you
on
so
the
much, Nishta.
substitute activity.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you so much, Nishta, for your volunteering. Now, this is important to know that we cannot stop the urge from coming into our head. So the process has to be stopped at the second step, which is after the urge, before the decision. After the urge, before the decision. Even if you have made a decision to postpone, you can still do it at the third step, which is you can reconsider the decision and you can change the decision. But the late you start breaking the cycle, the difficult it becomes. So let's do learn a process or a technique to break the decision. Now, let's say that Nishtha had this in her head, that it does not have much impact on my career anyway. So she would probably write this thought in the left-hand side column. This is a double column technique. A helpful thought would be, I know it's not very, it is low impact, but I'll still do it, right? This would be a helpful thought she might generate to counter the unhelpful thought. Now, remember that the helpful thought generated does not guarantee that you will get into action, because the brain would create another unhelpful thought. But then, I can do it anytime. There is no deadline to it. So this would be an unhelpful thought. Now she might want to write it down in the left-hand side column, and then she would create or generate another thought. I know there is no deadline, but the earlier I finish it, the better. So this is a new thought she has generated. Uh, do you think this is sufficient for action? I suppose no. There is another one, but I have other important tasks to do. So she would write the unhelpful thought on the left-hand side column. So this way, she's gonna zigzag, 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 generate new thoughts that would be helpful, action oriented, rather than the inaction oriented. So we can say this as a zigzag technique, double column technique, whatever you want to call, till she runs out of the excuses and she repeats the same excuse. It is low impact, and then she comes back to the square one. And the final thing she probably might, everyone has a different final action thought that works for them. For some people is that enough thinking, just do it. For some people, at what cost am I waiting? For some people, it is, I want to break this cycle, so let me do it right away. So remember, your thought that finally kicks you out of the seat and gets you moving could be your own thought that may not work for another person. So make sure that you have one single thought that you use every time. For me, what works is I want to break the cycle. So the more I break the cycle, the easier it becomes next time. Even I procrastinate, but whenever I am at a choice point, I say, I know the task is not too much, but I want to break the cycle. So I quickly break it, and then I don't engage in too much thinking. So this is double column technique, zigzag technique. Another technique that we call is increasing frustration tolerance. As you all know, REBTers know that people with low frustration tolerance are more likely to procrastinate. And all procrastinators have an emotional problem. All procrastinators have low frustration tolerance. Now, raise your resilience of the cutoff. Let us say that I want to run a marathon race, and my cutoff today is 500 meters. So I choose to give up at 500 meters. But if I have to run 42 kilometers, then probably I'll have to raise my cutoff by 100 meters every day. So in other words, I'm raising my frustration tolerance. I'm raising my discomfort intolerance. I'm decreasing my discomfort intolerance. I'm raising my resilience. I'm raising my endurance, whatever you want to call it, or I'm raising my cut off. So the way to use this in actual practice, let's say that you have to do a mundane task, a very boring task, and the actual, your natural urge is to postpone it. Force yourself to do it for 5 seconds and then maybe leave it, right? Then raise your tolerance by forcing yourself to do it for 10 seconds. Just count 10 seconds. I did the task for, let's say, washing dishes. Nobody wants to do that stuff, but, just wash them for 10 seconds and then leave it. And then wash them for 15 seconds and then leave it. And then probably organizing your desk, do it for 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes. So increase your cut off. Just like, if you want to run, then every day you have to give up little later. So give up a little later, postpone the postponing, and then you will see that you finish the whole task and then you give up. And that is the whole exercise of raising frustration tolerance. This is a very good exercise. Just try doing it. Do not have unrealistic dreams. Just like 5 seconds is good enough to start with. Now, the bubble wrap. If all of you got the bubble wrap right now, what will you have? You will have the urge to pop it, right? And if I say stop, don't pop it, you have a control on your behavior. You will be able to stop it. However, the urge may keep coming into your head. So remember that you cannot stop the urge, but you can stop the behavior. The urge is not in our control, but our behavior is in control. So after the urge, which is first step, you have the decision to act on the urge. You also have a decision to not act on the urge. Now, the same is the case with addictive behaviors. For example, you feel like eating a pastry when you're emotionally upset. You may have a strong urge, but the urge does not make you do things. The decision to act on the urge makes you do things. So remember, the urge may keep coming. You can act with the urge, you can act against the urge. That's your choice. So this is a very good technique. At a choice point, you can tell your patients or clients that what did you think at that time about the urge, that I have to act on the urge, or I can not act on the urge. Now, this happens with me, people who have ADHD. I have very bad ADHD. I get distracted very quickly. So they get sidetracked. For instance, they get sidetracked by mobile phones. They get sidetracked by smallest noises on the street. And then they get into a daydreaming or a thinking mode. What is it? Where it might be going? And, then I had to go there. So they get quickly sidetracked. There are many techniques to keep your focus from distractions, like switching off a mobile phone or throwing it out into the gutter is one very effective technique. You could also use noise cancellation headphones if you are a narcissist. A simple 10 rupee earplug works very well as well. So there are many things, many ways in which you could get rid of the distractions. Just like you won't text and drive because your life is at stake. Remember that while doing important work, please screen yourself for ADHD. If you have a history of getting sidetracked easily, please screen yourself for ADHD, get it treated. It's really worth it. So keep away your distractions, and then you'll be able to finish. I'm saying the same thing. You will finish the tasks faster. You are already able to finish the tasks faster. Okay, this is a good technique. James McMahon from the Albert Ellis Institute, he told me, and I complained of, I do this and I get into watching, I'm like surfing internet. So that time, 2008, 9, 10, we did not have super fast internet like we do now, but I still used to get into this. And he said, just change the sequence. What do? You are postponing a task and then substituting it with a pleasurable activity. Switch the sequence. First, do the boring task and reward yourself by doing whatever you are doing as a substitute activity. So I quickly changed it. I did force myself to do the boring task first, and I still did the surfing of internet, but I didn't feel guilty. So the problem with guilt is that it makes you do pleasurable things more and more and more. So because I didn't feel guilty, I could break the cycle easily. Let's imagine that you have to drink a cup of coffee, and before having coffee, somebody gives you desserts, which are pretty sweet. The cup of coffee would be not so sweet for you. But if you drink the coffee first and then have the desserts would, the coffee would taste slightly sweeter. The same thing happens with if you engage in a pleasurable activity first and then follow it with a boring activity, the boring activity becomes even more boring because you've already had a pleasurable activity. So change the sequence, you'll be happier. The last one I told about is promissory note procrastination. Imagine you also park in a car in a parking lot that is full. Will you actually find space to park a car here? No. If you don't, then it's tough for you to park a car. Similarly, if you're trying to fit in a new task in an already packed schedule, it is very difficult. So create some space, like burn some of these cars, and then you'll be able to park your own car. Just don't get caught. This is typically what happens with resolutions. You have a New Year resolution without a plan. So tell yourself that I have promised myself to do this, and I have a concrete plan. For instance, I'm going to borrow 10 minutes from my sleep time, 10 minutes from my WhatsApp time, 10 minutes from my looking at the ceiling time, 10 minutes from my bitching time. Okay, 5 minutes from my bitching time. So whatever. So you have to just create half an hour of space to fit in the new activity, which is important to you. But without creating space, you can't probably fit in that activity. Now, watch out for words when you postpone. For example, unless I have the iPhone 13 Pro, I'm not going to start my video blogging. Until after the pandemic is over, I'm not going to start my new classes. Or if only the government was a little more cooperative, I would have started my new venture. And once I wake up in the morning, I'm going to do this. So watch out for these words, because these are terms and conditions that you have put for yourself, that unless this happens, I'm not going to do it. So it's a demand in the REBT terms that you put a demand. Ask yourself a magic question. What conditions, internal or external, must be met that I will do the task right away? The answer could be, I must be in a good mood, the weather must be good, my wife or my husband must appreciate or at least acknowledge what I do, or there should be a good reward. It has to be intellectually stimulating, or once upon a time, I had a patient who had a very typical but only one condition. She had a pile of postponed files that she was postponing for a long time, and she came up with an excuse that unless my boss wears a pink shirt with blue elephants on it, I'm not going to do this task. It's like, now this was extremely unlikely to happen. So ask yourself, what conditions am I putting on myself? Sometimes we put this condition that I must be motivated before I do it. So this is a very funny condition, So I'm reminded of people who are waiting for a bus at a bus stop. And then I ask them, like, what are you waiting for? Hey, we are waiting for the bus to go to the station, or probably go to work. And, I ask a lot of people who promise themselves to go to the gym. Hey, what are you waiting for? You know what? I'm waiting for that magic spark moment of motivation. I will be motivated and then I'll do this. This doesn't happen. Motivation follows action. It does not precede it. It may precede it someday. But, if you keep waiting for motivation, you're probably going to wait forever. Maybe, at the age of 93, you have fallen teeth. And then you say, I am so motivated to do this now. Let me call everyone for the party. And everyone is dead. So don't wait for motivation. It might be too late. Imagine yourself, your spouse is cooking food for you. And then, you're very happy that the spouse is cooking food. And then in the middle, they say stop, and they say, and you ask them, why did you stop? It's like, I'm going to wait till the whole house is full of smell of cooking food. Then only I will start cooking food. It's like, dude, you have to start cooking food first. Then the house would be full of smell of cooking food. In a similar way, motivation may follow action. Start getting into it, and then you may get motivated. But if you wait for motivation, good British luck with that. So 3 questions. Is it possible to do the task even when the conditions are not met? For instance, is it possible for me to, let's say, go for exercise even when I'm not motivated, even if the weather is not perfect, even if my clothes are wet? Is it possible to do? Yes, it is possible. Would it be helpful to do the task even when the conditions are not met? This is an important question. The answer is most likely yes. The last question may kick you. At what cost am I waiting for the conditions? If I had time, I would have told you about a story of a donkey who kept waiting in a desert for right conditions to go left or right, but then didn't go because the right conditions never happened, and he died there, not taking a decision, dehydrated. So there is a cost of not taking a decision as well, remember. So, and because I didn't have the time, I didn't tell the story. So at what cost are you waiting for the conditions to be met? Oh, you were at the end of the session. Okay, thank you so much. So this is a magic question you can always ask yourself, that the perfect conditions may never exist. And that's why in the Indian culture, we have this Muhurat system, which is, all the planets are properly, aligned. And then now don't postpone, because if you lose this moment, a good moment may never come, an auspicious moment may never come again. So this is for all the procrastinators. Such things actually don't happen, but it forces people to do things, because now if you don't do it, there is no good chance for the next 9 years or something. So the procrastinators, expert procrastinators, force themselves to do it, get married or whatever, and then they get the task finished. So all the 9 planets are not gonna, 9, 10, 8, whatever, they're not gonna align themselves for you. All right. Okay. So
All right, thanks, Shishir. Great one. And do you have time to tell the donkey story?
It told the donkey story.
I'm free
this
enough.
donkey was
I can
very
make time
thirsty.
for the donkey.
Yeah, the donkey was very thirsty, and he was crossing a desert, and then he came across a path going to the left and going to the right, and he was carrying a lot of weight on his back. And then the donkey thought that, which decision should I take? Should I go left or should I go right? And then, I wish there was Google Maps with me. I wish there was like people telling me the directions. So I'll wait for someone to give me a guarantee that this path is going to go to the, freshwater lake, and this path is taking you to the dirty water lake. So don't go there. Here, go here. So he kept waiting and waiting and waiting, and he didn't take a decision. He postponed taking a decision. In fact, if he had taken a decision, maybe he made a wrong decision. He would just have to come back and go to another path. But he chose not to take the decision, and not taking a decision cost him his life. So remember that you may keep postponing. Some people postpone for decades. So, they may postpone decisions like which profession to take, and which country to live in. And, by the time they take the decision, it's so late. I remember a very close relative. So he postponed getting married till he saw 56 girls. He actually met 56 girls, went to every girl's place. That's an Indian custom. You go to the girl's place and they feed you with, chai, samosas, or poha. And then he got really fat after that. So he chose to see 56. And by the time, when he started, he had a lot of hair. By the end of 56, he had lost all his hair, and the chances went down to get married. So some people wait for perfect conditions, and that's how it is. Okay, this is just an overview of procrastination. I would say if you are struggling with procrastination, then customized help with CBT and REBT would really help you. Find a good REBT therapist like Professor Alwyn. He's an amazing REBT therapist find yourself an REBT therapist and work on specifically your style of procrastination. Remember, every procrastination has an emotional issue, which we just didn't talk of. I didn't talk of guilt. I didn't talk of depression, anxiety. I didn't talk of anger. I didn't talk much of the emotions today because that was slightly beyond the scope of today's session. But unless you deal with the emotional issues underlying, you can't expect to snap out of depression. But you definitely can stop this habit. All right.
Thank you so much,
for
Shishir. Yeah, there's one question though. Maybe we'll just take this one. Do these techniques are these techniques also helpful for children?
Yes, they are. The way you present them. You know what I do with children, I give them what we call cause and effect. So let us say that, I show the child a plant, right? And then I show the plant, and then I say that what will happen if you water the plant. So they know that there is a consequence of action. And then I say that leave the plant alone for like 1 month. Do not water it. What would be the consequence of inaction? So they understand that the plant may wilt after 7 days, but it may die after a month. So I teach them that some consequences are reversible and some consequences are irreversible. So one concept that children need to learn is consequential thinking, that there are consequences to action, there are consequences to inaction. So teach children such consequences and then relate it to their task. So we have, I wish, why don't we have another session for using CBT, REBT with children and adolescents? There are so many techniques. I'll quickly tell you. So
Sure.
ask the child to make a loop where they postpone a task. Say, for instance, I play first and then I study later. So let's say that this is a ribbon that they have made, a small paper strip. I play first and study later, and then make a loop of it. So this loop goes into another loop. What will be the consequence of this? That means that, I might get tired. And then another consequence to it would be if I get tired, I'll sleep early. And then next morning, I'll not have enough time to go to the school. And then I may fail in the test. So there would be a chain of consequences. This way, we can teach children the consequences of procrastination. And then we also teach them another chain, which is consequences of not procrastinating. So they realize that, they have a choice. So they can postpone task and they can not postpone the task. This is how we teach in children. The way is different. However, it's exactly the same theory that we use with children and adolescents.